Hey everyone, and welcome to this webinar co-presented with Element451 and VisionPoint. We'll just give VisionPoint Marketing, and with that, I'll turn it over to my friends at VisionPoint who will kick us off.
Thanks, Eric. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself? I know most people probably know who you are, but
Absolutely. Since I'm first on the slide, my name's Eric Range. I'm the Vice President of Product with Element451. Been with Element going on 3 years. Funny enough, directly before Element, I worked as a CRM strategist at VisionPoint Marketing. But this is my second stint at Element451. I was a very early adopter of Element in my prior life on the institutional side, where I spent 7 years working with Spark 451 and Element 451 at my last institutional job, small liberal arts college here in New Jersey, and I worked in enrollment marketing and operations. So lots of experience with Element and CRMs in the higher ed space in general. Kendra?
yeah, I'm Kendra Oswald. I'm CRM strategist at VisionPoint Marketing. I've been with VisionPoint for just about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I spent about 13 years in higher education and wearing lots of hats, kind of on the enrollment management umbrella, anywhere from the registrar's office to the admissions office and institutional research in between. So lots of experience with CRMs. And at Vision Point, we actually support lots of different CRMs, but Element 451 is one that we are now partnered with, and we are very excited about our partnership with them. And I also have Danielle Atanasio with me here. She's another CRM strategist. She's going to be kind of monitoring the chat. So tag her in anything if you have questions or use that Q&A function like Eric said. So starting off, we're going to dive right into custom GPTs. So higher ed institutions face a unique set of communication challenges, keeping up with the demands of student recruitment, current student engagement, alumni relations, and fundraising can be overwhelming. Simplifying these processes is crucial. AI offers solutions at multiple levels. Platforms like Element 451 provide a strong foundation with built-in AI tools. Eric will be demonstrating their campaign builder and AI-driven features in just a moment, and showing how those tools can streamline everyday tasks and improve efficiency. But first, let's explore the next level of AI-powered communication, custom GPTs. These specialized models offer an even more targeted and customizable approach, allowing you to tailor AI to your institution's specific needs and communication goals. One of the biggest challenges we see in email marketing is ensuring you're following best practices. A custom GPT trained on these principles can automate this process, providing consistent and reliable feedback on every email you create. So at VisionPoint, we've developed a custom GPT for email marketing content optimization, which we've lovingly called Email Best Practices Analyzer. Excuse me. And included in this are the GPT is trained to analyze email copy for spam triggers, helping to avoid dreaded junk folder. It checks for things like excessive use of certain words, suspicious formatting, and other red flags. And we know readers scan content in an F pattern, so this GPT can analyze an email structure and suggest improvements to ensure key information falls within this visual sweet spot, maximizing engagement. The balance of text and images is also crucial. Too many images can trigger spam filters and slow your loading times. This GPT helps find the optimal ratio for readability and deliverability. And lastly, with so many people checking email on their phones, mobile optimization is essential. This model can assess an email's mobile friendliness and identify areas for improvement like font size, button placement, and responsive design. This piece is one we'll be particularly emphasizing in 2025 due to the European Accessibility Act, or EAA. This new legislation mandates that digital products and services, including emails, must be accessible to everyone, including individuals with disabilities. And while compliance with the EAA is not legally mandated for US-based entities, embracing its principles and standards can offer significant benefits in terms of market reach, inclusivity, and future proofing. I have up on the screen a sample prompt that I used throughout this presentation, getting all of my slides put together, and just kind of want to touch quickly on why it's important to have really effective prompt when using your AI. And so effective prompting is key to unlocking the full potential. It's how we as humans guide and direct the AI to work for us. Think of it as collaborating with a highly intelligent assistant. The clearer your instructions, the better the result. By crafting precise and informative prompts, we can transform AI from a general purpose tool into a highly specialized expert. This prompt, for example, is like a detailed task list for your AI assistant. It specifically asks for an analysis of text to image ratio, F pattern readability, spam risk, mobile responsiveness, and CTA engagement. It even specifies the desired output format, a paragraph summary, specific recommendations, and an overall rating. This level of detail ensures the AI understands exactly what we're looking for, leading to a much more relevant and actionable output, saving us time and effort, and ultimately improving our email effectiveness. So let's see what the response was to this detailed request. Imagine having to manually check. There we go. Maybe. Imagine having to manually check all these elements for every email you send. It would be incredibly time consuming, but as you see, the AI is quickly analyzing the email, highlighting key areas and identifying potential issues in a matter of seconds. It's checking everything we included in our prompt and it's doing it automatically, freeing up our time to focus on other important tasks like crafting compelling content and developing effective email campaigns. Once the analysis is complete, we'll have a comprehensive report with a specific recommendation, allowing us to make data-driven decisions and optimize our email strategy for maximum impact. So let's review the results and see how we can use them to optimize our email strategy. Here's an example of an email template that our designers built for one of our current clients, Graceland University. I think I saw Steve in the waiting room. Hey, Steve. We ran this particular email through the Email Best Practices GPT to see how it would score. And here are some of the highlights of the assessment. For text to image ratio, it says that it's a well-balanced template, avoiding the common spam risk of being too image heavy. For F pattern readability, this email has bold, clear headings that break up the content with bullet points that make the benefits of enrolling at Graceland stand out to its readers. Spam risk factors are low, avoiding trigger words like free, guaranteed, limited time, etc. Mobile responsiveness, this email has a single column layout, which makes reading on a smaller screen easier. So overall, the custom GPT analysis highlights several strengths in this email template, including its excellent readability, balanced text and images, and compelling CTAs. There are a few opportunities to further enhance the template, specifically around accessibility and mobile optimization, including adding alt text, ensuring text-only CTA fallback, and optimizing the hero image for mobile will bring the template even closer to its potential. Currently, it scores a 7.5 out of 10, but with these improvements, we could easily push it to higher than that. And a lot of these things, the AI actually can't check, like it can't tell if there's alt text behind your images. So some of those things it's just assuming it provides as a best practice. This type of AI-driven analysis, the kind you've just seen, forms the foundation of VisionPoint's lead nurture strategy audit service. We don't just look at individual emails. We take a holistic approach to evaluating your entire lead nurture strategy. Our audit encompasses 3 key points. First, we thoroughly evaluate your current lead nurturing efforts using AI-powered analysis to pinpoint areas for improvement, as I just showed. And it also identifies any gaps or friction points that are hindering conversions. Second, we can analyze your CRM utilization, assessing how effectively you're leveraging its communication and analytics tools to drive enrollment. Are you maximizing the platform's potential? Third, and most importantly, our goal is to help improve your enrollment outcomes. By optimizing your lead nurturing and CRM usage, we can help you increase student enrollment and achieve your strategic objectives. This data-backed approach ensures that our recommendations are not just best guesses, but informed strategies for real improvement. Take this email template that was designed in Element451. The analysis you see on the right-hand side is right out of that GPT, and it gives us a clear roadmap for improving the email template. The custom GPT's recommendations are actionable and specific. By balancing text and images and optimizing for mobile, we can address the identified weaknesses and create a much more effective email. The 6.5 score gives us the baseline. With these changes, we're confident we can achieve a significantly higher result. The insights from the GPT provided the what, as in what was needed to be changed. Element 451 template builder provided the how to easily implement these changes. This combination of AI-driven insights and powerful platform tools is what allows us to create truly effective email campaigns. Something that might take hours of manual coding in other platforms was done by making just a few adjustments in Element 451. So let me show you how we put it all together. This revised template demonstrates the power of AI-driven optimization. We've made considerable progress by incorporating the GPT's recommendations, and the score reflects that. However, a score is just one metric. We're also focused on the overall impact of the email. How well does it communicate our message? How effectively does it engage the reader? While we've achieved an 8 out of 10, we'll continue to refine elements like the banner image and mobile text box to ensure the email is not only technically sound, but also resonates with our target audience. As you can see, these changes, while seemingly small, can have a substantial effect on overall performance. AI optimized content, is most effective when it's seamlessly integrated into your CRM workflow. Platforms like Element 451 understand this, and their campaign builder is designed to make implementing AI-driven improvements incredibly easy. For instance, after we identified those areas for improvement through your lead nurturing audit, you can directly apply those changes within Element 451. You can update your email template, further personalize your messaging, and refine your segmentation strategies all within the platform. This allows you to create more effective and targeted campaigns, leading to better engagement and higher conversion rate. And to demonstrate the value of its approach, we're offering a complimentary CRM communications audit. This audit, a scaled down version of our comprehensive lead nurture strategy audit, focuses specifically on how you can improve your CRM driven communications. So scan the QR code on the screen to take advantage of this offer and start optimizing your outreach today. Now let's shift our focus from individual email optimization to something even bigger. AI-powered CRM. Element 451 has integrated some truly game-changing AI tools into their platform, and Eric is here to tell you firsthand and give you a look at how they work, including a demonstration of their campaign builder. So Eric, you can take it away.
Thanks so much, Kendra. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so this is really great. You know, that custom GPT, or the ability to run your emails through a prompt, whether that's through something like ChatGPT or another. You could do a similar thing with Google Gemini, right? You can do what I would say, these are off the shelf products, right? These are consumer products, open to everybody. You don't have to necessarily go out and buy something else. You might need a small subscription for some of the platforms, but they're accessible. They're very easily accessible, right? And what we're gonna kind of shift a little bit and talk about product integrated AI and how we think about this at Element 451. So let me just share my screen really quick. Again, some of what Kendra was actually talking about, and woven that through our product. And somebody actually asked in the chat what the significance of 451 was. So our platform started as an internal tool, marketing automation tool for a digital marketing company called Spark 451, worked exclusively in the higher ed industry. They were kind of a digital first marketing agency. So 451 Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which paper burns. So that's sort of where the 451 bubbled up through our history. So back in 2022, in like November, when OpenAI really stormed onto the scene and AI sort of became, part of all of our vernacular, we at Element 451 really had an aha moment. And over the course of December and the winter holidays, much of our product leadership team basically looked at our 2023 roadmap and said to ourselves, yeah, no, we're not going to do this stuff anymore, and we're going to do AI. Because it really allowed us to look and accelerate our vision for our CRM and student engagement platform, which is highly personalized uh, content being delivered to students when they need that intervention or when they need that communication. And frankly, we had a vision that was not always able to be backed up by the technology. So AI really gives us that ability. And what we brought into Element and weaved throughout Element is this concept of AI assistants and AI agents. So very quickly, we started looking at all of the problems that Element was already solving and then identifying a agent that allows or an assistant that allows for uh, to supplement and amplify the resources at the institution using artificial intelligence. Now, what Kendra was talking about with her prompt into ChatGPT and saying, here's the email content, here's the prompt, right? What we've actually done with our assistants is taken and optimized those prompts internally, and so they're seamless to the end user, right? You don't necessarily have to prompt um, or know how to ask the AI to do certain things. You do that, and then we have some logic on the back end that identifies the right prompt. So we've developed assistants across a lot of different problems to solve. One of our newest assistants, and this isn't really um, uh, super relevant to this marketing conversation we're having, but last fall we had a problem as the application season kicked off with a number of our partners seeing even more fraudulent applications than they saw before, particularly in the community college sector where they have open enrollment. So we very quickly were able to deploy an AI agent that would evaluate every incoming application, look at the application data, compare it to other applications that that institution was receiving, and then also looking at some of the student data and the behavioral data and saying, hey, something like, we just got 10 applications in the last 15 minutes, all with, email addresses that had sequential numbers in them from the same IP address. We're raising a flag on this, right? On these applications. So these are the ways that we're really weaving AI through the entirety of our platform. But today we're going to take a look at some of the ways we can use that to uh, basically take what Kendra was doing, which could, again, kind of off the shelf solutions. You could then take that solution and implement it in Element. You could implement it in another CRM platform. That's all sort of platform agnostic. What we're going to look at now is how we think about implementing some of those things within Element 451. So the first thing we're going to look at is some of what we call our staff assistants. And one of those staff assistants is our campaign builder or our campaign assistant that works alongside you to create emails that follow those best practices and is able to deploy them very quickly right within our platform. But we have these assistants can solve other problems. I just talked about the AI fraud assistant. We're working actually on another application focused assistant. Now this will be out later this spring, which is essentially in a application review assistant, right? Where they can do that first read, that summary read of all of the documents and all of the data associated with an application. So we have all of these different staff assistants that are designed to amplify the resources and frankly, the limited resources that all of our campuses are up against. So specifically when it comes to campaigns, the old model, right? And really, even if you were using Element, this is kind of the old model, and we still have lots of partners who are operating this way. But one of the things within Element, if you're not an Element user, is we've always had in our campaigns module the ability to build what we call dynamic content, right? Or dynamic content blocks. So what we're able to do there is say, hey, here's a block. And let's just say the theme of that block was, the student's academic program. So we could say, hey, when the academic major is one of these things, we want to put in this content block, right? And if it's another major, we want this other set of content, right? So that was great five years ago. It was even pretty good 2 years ago. But what are some things that we run into there, right? Is one, the segmentation is pretty broad, right? And some of that is a function of the fact that personalization becomes hard because you have this unscalable content creation. If I wanted to create an email that had a content block that was variable for every academic program at my institution, I may be writing 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, right, emails. So what did we do? Like back in my day at Drew, we said, okay, we're not going to do 55 majors. We're going to bucket those majors and we're going to do, here's the sciences one, here's the social sciences one, so on and so forth, right? The arts. So we could scale that down to, 5 or 6 buckets, just so we could deal with the issue of unscalable creation of content, right? But again, that means that those segments are broad. We're saying the same thing to a biology major that we're saying to a chemistry major, and they might not actually be the same thing. So enter AI and our campaign assistant, and one of our upcoming features are AI content block. These now allow us to get that vision of hyper personalization, fast content generation to amplify all of the resources that you have at your institution. This isn't a knock at anybody who works in marketing or does content generation. But I remember sitting in meetings where we would spend, 20 minutes mulling over by committee. Do we pick subject line version 1 or do we pick subject line version 2? And at the end of the day, it probably didn't matter which one we picked, but that was the kind of, and we spent time coming up with all of those versions, right? We weren't just picking. We had a bunch of people going, here are 5 subject lines. Which one do we like the best? And that doesn't do a great way of amplifying the available limited resources that we all have. So our campaign assistant is a conversational interface. So just like you might go and chat with ChatGPT or chat with Gemini, you can chat with your staff assistants right within the Element451 interface. And our campaign assistant can create entire multi-channel campaigns in just minutes while building those campaigns using the best practices for each channel. So if it's building an SMS message, it's optimizing it for length. It's including emojis. If we're on email, it's using best practices around, subject lines and some of the things that Kendra's GPT sort of outlined as well. And then I mentioned the hyper-personalization piece for the AI content block. So let's actually see some of these staff assistants in action and how fast and easy it is when the AI is the engine that runs the CRM and engagement platform you're using. So this is the Element451 interface. I know we have some folks that don't that aren't Element partners on the call today, so I just wanted to start here. This is the screen that people see when they first log into Element, and all of this area here is really dedicated to our staff assistants. You can either just ask a question here in the help bar, or you can use one of these shortcuts. So before I get to building a campaign, one of the other things we can do is the staff assistant can just help you, right? So I've had my head down, um, prepping for this webinar for a couple hours. So, I'm not sure what else has been going on inside of Element, or maybe I'm just coming back from lunch. I can go ahead and hit the catch me up shortcut. And here on the right hand side, my staff assistant has come in and said, "Hey, you have a task that's due coming up. Um, don't tell anybody. I have 8 overdue tasks that go back as much as 6 months. I have a new conversation in our conversations module. Conversations are one-to-one communications or chats with students, and they might be email, they might be SMS, they might be through our live chat web messenger widget. And they all come in together in conversations, and I have no decisions that I need to deal with. So very quickly, I get this kind of really nice snapshot. It's like every Element user now has, an assistant or a secretary kind of keeping them on track for their day. So I could do something as easy as, hey, I want to view that conversation, and come in here and see that conversation that's assigned to me. So really, really handy. And you can see how when your AI assistant is sort of baked into the platform, you can do things that you really couldn't do with a GPT or just chatting with Gemini, or other things. So anyway, let's take a look specifically though at the campaign assistant. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use another one of our shortcuts, and I'm going to go ahead and create a campaign. So that is the shortcut right here. And I get this little prompt that just helps me start guiding me through the process of creating this campaign. So as to not embarrass myself, I'm not going to type live. I'm going to do some copy and pasting here. So I don't make some mistakes here. But so what's the first thing I want to do? I want to tell the campaign assistant, I need a campaign to promote my under-enrolled nursing program for spring 2024. The term starts in about 5 weeks. So that's my general thing. And now it's coming up. My general prompt is coming up. Hey, I need a little more information, right? If I'd given it more information up front, this response would be different. But it's asking me, hey, who do you want to talk to? What's the high level goal? Do you want to use SMS or email? Do you want to use both? Is there anything you want me to specifically talk about? And what are the total number of communications you're thinking about? So I can provide this information. Again, just type this out really in a conversational way and telling the assistant, hey, my target audience, I want to focus on not the whole universe, right? I want to focus on applicants who have already finished their application, but have not submitted all their supporting documents. And the goal here is to get those students to submit those documents so we can admit and enroll them. Let's do both SMS and email, and we'll do this over 5 communications. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to search our knowledge base. So this is the function we have within Element, that the knowledge base contains any information you want your staff assistants or your student assistants, your chatbots, if you will, to have access to. So it could be content from your website, it could be documents, it could be a PDF of your course catalog, it could be all of those things, right? Load that into the knowledge base and you can do that. So I've said, hey, make sure you search the knowledge base for information on our nursing program. And I want to highlight clinical experiences as part of this email campaign. Now, if I wanted to give it other information that wasn't in the knowledge base, maybe these aren't students that have already started their application, or maybe they've started their application and I want to say, hey, if you submit by the end of the month, we're going to waive your application fee. I could actually give that context right within the chat, and it doesn't have to be part of the knowledge base. So here's some information. Let's go ahead and get the assistant going. So the next thing the assistant's going to do is it's going to, because I told it to search the knowledge base, it's going to go to the knowledge base and find some relevant information. So here it has found some unique selling points for this program that it's pulled out of the knowledge base. So here's diverse clinical settings, clinical mentorships. We have all these things, right? And then it's giving me an outline of the communications it wants to send. So communication one's going to be an email, the high level goal, we're submitting those documents, the subject line, intro, body, so on and so forth, right? And it's going to do that outline for um, each of the individual communications. So I can look at this and I can say, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't need 5 communications. Let's just do 4 comms for this instead. And it will update the outline accordingly. So again, you can go back and forth. You can give it more information, less information, refined sort of the outline. We're ready to go. We can just say, yeah, I like this. Or I'm ready. It's not keywords here. So what's happening here is it is now coming through and it is building actual communications for each of those things. And you'll see that the text messages, you can tell the text messages because of the little phone icon there. What is actually happening here is while we're kind of showing this as one assistant, the campaign assistant is actually an orchestrator for several other assistants under the hood. So for each of these individual communications, we actually have a copywriter, and that copywriter assistant has special prompts around, creating content, the best practices for email, the best practices for SMS, so on and so forth. There's a photographer assistant that will actually go into the media library that you have within Element451 and find a relevant, hero image for that particular message that it's crafting. So you can, so again, it's pulling all those individual pieces. There's sort of a CRM administrator assistant in there that is actually going to build the workflow that creates the drip campaign, right? That these individual communications slot into. So you could see that they kind of all popped in. If you were looking at this, they all popped in at different times. The SMSs came in first. Why? Because they're like 160 characters. They're easy to write, right? And the emails took a little longer, but we actually run all of these actions in parallel, which means that this one is 4 communications. We could have done 10 communications in about the same amount of time. So you could build like a whole semester's worth of communication strategy here. And you can see kind of the preview here of some of these emails. But what we've actually done is actually installed these right within Element. So here is the email that came up. It did not generate this image, even though this is clearly an AI generated image. This was an image we had in our media library. So here it found a header. It's used personalization, right? It's putting in information about the fact that they're missing documents. And if you read this, it's very cheeky. It's very avant-garde, if you will. And that actually comes from another feature we have in Element, which is your brand style guide. So we have sort of prompted it to be fun and irreverent, but certainly you could, more professional, more academic. And it uses that brand style guide to make sure that the communications it's writing is matching with the tone for your institution. So a more serious academic email probably would not say think Grey's Anatomy, but with less drama, right? But we like to have a little fun on the demos. And the mascot at Element U is the doggos. So you can see how it's pulled this whole thing together. Same thing for the text messages. It's using, using emojis. It's being fun. And each of those things came together very quickly. And then lastly, it's actually built the campaign flow and including, the delays. So this will go 7 days after the previous message, and laid it all out. So, I would say that the campaign builder right now gets you about 90 or 95% of the way to a um, completed uh, campaign. Of course, you'll want to go in and probably tweak some of the language, go in, swap out an image, adjust the links for the call to action buttons, and things like that. But, this is like, if I had the content, right? If I had the written content for marketing already, this would probably be at least a couple hours worth of work within Element, or frankly, any other marketing automation platform, just to translate the written content into the CRM or into the marketing automation platform. And not only did we do all of that work, we did the work, the assistant did the work of actually creating the emails as well. So that's the campaign builder. And so you can see how sort of you can do the off the shelf, kind of consumer um, piece, or you can have something that's very tightly integrated with a tool that you're already using. There. Um, Really exciting stuff. One of the things that we're looking at doing over the spring, and one of the other things that something like having a platform like Element451 is really good at, is we're always looking at all of the AI models and what's better for what. And, they all have, and especially as they continue to get better, they all sort of have their little niches, right? So we're looking at, hey, would we be better off using a Gemini model for our copywriter, but a OpenAI model for something else? And because of the way we've built all these assistants, we can, kind of hot swap those out, if you will. They're very much model agnostic. All right, let's take another look at an upcoming feature, which is our AI content block. So this is another nursing email that I developed using earlier today, using the campaign builder. But what I've actually done here is come in and inserted an AI prompt into this. So this is a static email, right? The email's going to be the same for everybody, except for this one area. So you can think of this as the same thing where I was talking about those versions, right? Where if this student's out of state, do this. If this student is international, send this content, right? So now we're taking this to the next level and actually creating a custom piece of content specifically for that student. So here I've come in and we've said, based on the contact's home address, and we've inserted the token for that piece of data within Element451, explain the benefits of studying nursing at a campus near New York City. Keep the response to a sentence or two, because we don't want a wall of text in the middle of our email. So that's the prompt we've given it. And this is really powerful because now we can get to kind of that hyper personalization where the student really says, wow, this is more than they just, put in a token that said, Dear Eric, right? And they just swapped out my first name. So let's see some of the variations that this email created. So here's 3 of these emails, and Patrick is in New Jersey. So here, Patrick got this version of the email where it says, living in New Jersey, you're just a short trip from New York City. So you already know about easy access to world-class hospitals, clinical rotations, and networking opportunities, all while staying close to home, right? So there's a sentence or two. I guess technically that's just one long sentence. There's a sentence that really speaks to, I was going to say, Patrick is based on me. I live in New Jersey. This is really about Patrick's experience and really speaks to the fact that he's very close. He's going to be very close to home to do this. In contrast, here's Maria, and Maria is from Austin, Texas. So we're not going to talk about being close to New York City. She's traveling halfway across the country, right? So here we're talking about New York City being a dynamic healthcare hub within the United States, hands-on experiences, so on and so forth. So again, that content different for each of these people. And then lastly, we international student, right? So this student is joining from Columbia and earning the nursing degree near New York City, puts them in the center of the US healthcare system. But we're talking in the context of, the world, right? So, hey, New York City, yes, the center of the US healthcare system, but is also one of the top healthcare medical destinations in the world, right? So each of these things sort of talking the same language, but very hyper personalized to that student. So, and the way this works, the workflow calls the email on send. It evaluates that prompt and basically inserts it the same time it would insert other dynamic content. So, really, really powerful ways to do that. So we've got about, I think I'm going to do actually is show one other thing, and then we're going to open it to questions. So we've showcased uh, a lot of our staff assistants, right? And the way that those staff assistants can amplify um, the human resources and the human capital that we have on our campuses to do more and be more effective with what we're doing. And that's really the promise of AI in general, right? And it's certainly the thing that we think is really important at Element 451. But we also have student facing assistants and agents that, you might call them chatbots. They can do, our assistants can interface with Element directly so they can register a student for an event, check their application status, book a application or book an appointment, so on and so forth. But one of the other cool features we have is something called Element Discovery. And Element Discovery or Bolt Discovery is a generative search feature that you can embed on your website. You can use within Element. And that feature is actually a standalone package for Element. So it has a relatively low cost to entry. And if you're using another CRM, or another kind of marketing automation platform, you might find value in discovery. So there's lots of ways to engage with discovery. This is kind of the one interface, which is embedded in one of our sites. You can also embed this in your own institutional website, or you can also send a link that I actually said, go to the discovery page and start a conversation with this as the starter prompt. And it started that conversation for the student, and now they can interact. If I come over to this page, our friends at Forsyth Tech have allowed us to use a lot of their content here. So, hey, I'm not sure what I want to study, but I'm, a computer geek and I'm interested in the arts. What do you got for me? Right. And very quickly, this has searched all of the content, their website, their online course catalog, and it can very quickly give recommendations. Think about your site search. And if you were to have that site search on like your Google site search, you're not finding this information, right? With those, you'd have to know the keywords to prompt those, right? So we also have the LLM populate follow-ups here. So sort of guiding the student along a path so they can ask whatever follow-up they want, or they can select one of the suggested follow-ups here. So really powerful ways to now interface with all that content you have on your website, but not have to go hunting and searching for all of that content. And we really think that this is really, really powerful. Of course, we cite the source so they can go to that web page to find out more or dive deeper. But this is that conversational interface that is going to become more and more important for all of us to have in our experiences moving forward. So, hey, if I wanted to be a graphic designer, would this program be a good fit? It sure would be. And here's kind of the reasoning behind that. So really, really powerful things. And we can connect the knowledge base to anything on the internet. So we've actually taken information on salaries and outcomes and said, hey, what's the what salary might I expect if I did want to be a graphic designer? Because that we know is a really important question for folks, right? And we've actually linked the ONET data there, which I don't think they've updated since 2023. But you can see how different of an experience that this would be than searching online, right? One of the other examples I give, I won't say who, but it's my alma mater. So, if you really want to know, go look at LinkedIn. When you search, they have a really good nursing program, but when you search medical programs on their website, the nursing and allied health programs, like the actual academic programs, are like on page 2 of their Google search results. What's the first hit? Student health insurance, faculty and staff, medical benefits. And it's nothing to do with what the student is trying to find. And if that's an inquiry or a person, who's just stumbled upon your institution, they're not hanging around for all of that. So we really think that this is an exciting way. This is an available feature included in all of the packages of Element 451. But as I mentioned, is available as a standalone package that starts at $8,000. So it's when you think about what you're paying for Google search on your site, really competitively priced and is really moving into the next generation. So, little bit of a tangent there, and we got a few minutes left for some questions. I did want to answer Cody's question around previews before they're sent. So the same way, and Cody, shout out to Cody from SEMO. They are an Element user. So the same way that you can preview your tokens, you can pick an individual student and say, hey, I want to evaluate this, and it will put in all the content tokens and it will show you a preview of what the LLM would send. But because these are dynamic on each send, you may get slight variations. But if you wanted to, look at, hey, I want to look at 10 different students to see, the types of responses that I would get. You can do that in the AI content block. So, question from someone about how does this all integrate with CRMs like Slate? So Kendra, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what you guys do, and obviously that's a little more straightforward.
Yeah. So with kind of the chat GPT that I demonstrated, that would be something that you would obviously have to manually kind of go in and update your campaigns within your CRM. I don't know if you're talking more about the bold discovery that Eric was just showing, but like you said, that can be integrated with any platform that you have or used as a standalone, and it kind of pulls from your website. So it's really CRM agnostic at that point. So, but yeah, I think it's very cool. I think that's one of the coolest features. That and the new AI content block, that is just blowing my mind, Eric. I can't wait to play around with that. I think that is so cool.
So So as far as some of the features within Element, we do offer a number of different packages that kind of have different feature sets. Um, our kind of full blown CRM would definitely be a direct competitor to Slate. We've had a number of Slate schools move off of Slate and come over to Element 451 over the course of the last couple of years. But if that's not something that is in the cards for you, our most common, uh, you know, our most common packages that people are using with other platforms is our Bolt package, which is our AI student assistants, right? So again, I'm using the term chatbot. I hate that term, but it's kind of the term that everybody uses. So, that's our web messenger and the chatbot. That information could then be synced over to with an export over to um, over to Slate, and certainly Bolt Discovery, which is available again standalone, or it is also included in the Bolt package. That really has a very nice um, sort of walled off section, right? Where basically it's, web search and knowledge discovery. There is an RFI flow there. Actually, here I have it up on my screen. If I say, I'm interested in graphic arts, we have this little lead capture. You could capture that lead and send that lead over to Slate, either as, a flat file export. We also support Zapier. So if you're putting it to, you want to put it to other types of systems. Frankly, these days, I don't think Slate does Zapier, but they might. But if you wanted to export that to Google Sheets or, other Zapier supported things, you could do that as well. So we do have some ability there to interface. But of course, the most seamless way of doing it is to get the whole package. But I recognize that may not be in the cards for everybody. So we do have 5 more minutes. So if anybody else has if anyone else has a question they want to throw into the Q&A, we're happy to answer it. But hopefully this started getting your juices flowing. Again, whether you're a current Element 451 partner, thinking about joining Element, or have some other platform that you're using, and just kind of seeing what we're thinking here at Element, but also how to leverage kind of some of those off the shelf AI solutions to enhance your workflow, because AI is not going to go anywhere, folks. So, continue to embrace it, understand what problems it can help you solve, and really engage with it really, really nicely. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you are in the path of, the snow and the ice across much of the country, stay safe. If you're not, stay safe anyway. And we'll be having more opportunities for education in the future, both from Element 451 and from VisionPoint. So thanks so much.
Thank you.